Hello, it's Noir Nerd for another Console.log vlog, and I wanted to talk about finding meaning in what you do as a developer. Just talk about from like personal experience, from about things I've worked on, because it can be difficult work sometimes to do. Any kind of development work is essentially problem solving. So I wanted to try and talk a bit about how you can keep your hope, stay hopeful, because it does get hard sometimes. It really does. It really does sometimes get. You're gonna have sometimes long hours. Occasionally, maybe prod goes down. So maybe a live version of the app or the website goes down, you have to fix it really fast. And sometimes you can just get a block on things. I know that happens to me sometimes. Like I'm actually working on something in the minute, I've just got a complete concrete block on the solution to the problem. So yeah, Noir Nerd, very noir today actually. I'm very, very dark in the background, just my face lit like this, like some sort of mysterious vampire. Code vampire, that sounds stupid. But yeah, so how do you sort of keep yourself finding meaning in what you're doing? Well, there's a few ways I think you can do that. You can find meaning in the problem solving itself. Just if you find problem solving interesting, then it keeps it interesting. So you can find meaning in that itself. This is a sort of coding philosophy, I guess, in some respects. So if you can find meaning in just the virtue of problem solving and just trying to solve an interesting problem, then there's probably some meaning you can be found in doing that, I guess. Something that's quite important, doesn't probably get talked about very often in development, is finding an organisation that matches your values. So what do I mean by this? So for example, you want to find an organisation whose work you're at least partially interested in. I think this can be really useful to help ground you in a sort of sense of meaning in what you're doing. Very important. It's probably an undervalued thing in a lot of respects. I mean, I guess maybe if you're just purely get off into the problem solving part, which I was talking about before, then this might not be such a thing. If you want to just deal with complicated problems and try and find elegant solutions to them, then not so much of an issue. But for a lot of people, and I know myself included, if I believe in the work I'm doing, then I find it a lot easier to do it. And that could come in a lot of flavours. It could be working on an interesting technology or platform. It could be that you're working for an organisation whose values, like maybe a charity or something, you're doing good work in the world, who the work you sort of have an ethical or moral investment in some respect. I know for myself, a lot of my early career was in the charity sector. So actually, my first two jobs were working for the charity sector, and we call it the third sector in the UK. And that definitely helped me get invested in the work, was the fact that I was working for these organisations. They're only local charities, but still, it sort of got a meaning to the work that you're doing in terms of it having real value and really helping people who can help. Not everyone's concerned. Like some people just want to work for fintech or big banks or whatever and make shit tons of money. But that's all well and good. I'm not going to diss that, but I guess it's probably not everybody's primary concern. Another thing, I guess, to find meaning in the work you're doing is that you have some sort of ability to influence it on some level anyway. They're going to become in varying degrees in any job, but if you can, and I guess some developers wouldn't really be interested in it, like if you're a back-end developer, you're not so interested in the user interface and how it looks and the user experience. It's not really your area. Well, it is partially, but not fully. But having some sort of ownership over the actual whether either the tech stack that you're working with develops or the actual product itself that you're producing, the app or whatever it is that you're making, is probably rewarding, helps you find meaning because you've actually got some influence over how it moves forward. I guess that comes if you're moving at a more mid or senior level. Generally, if you're a junior developer, you're going to be, well, not necessarily. I mean, it's not always that strict, but a lot of the time you'll be following, like you said, very set, predefined set of specifications if you're a junior, I suppose. Not always. Some it depends. I mean, if you're working for a larger organisation, that's probably going to be the case. But if you're working for a small startup and you're the only full stack dev working for that company, then you're probably going to have a lot more influence over how it develops. That's another thing, actually. Size of organisation, that varies a lot. So, if you work for a large organisation, there's certain benefits to that, like so you get company benefits and benefit of a lot of support from other people. You're probably going to have a much more structured way of doing things. But obviously working in a startup or something is probably also has benefits like, not always, but for a lot of large organisations, there's much more of a corporate structure, so maybe there's more of a requirement to work in an office or something. Whereas if you work, not always, it's not everything. But, so yeah, I think about what sort of company culture you want to work in. Do you want to work in quite a fast-moving organisation like a startup or something where you're going to be, and a lot of startups fail. That's another reality actually to bear in mind when you're considering all this, is that a lot of startups just fall down the shit because a lot of various reasons, but it's competition really. But yeah. What else do you think? What do I think you need to find meaning in your programming life? I guess if you can, if there's some sort of, well, this is personally for me, if there's some sort of creative aspect to what you're doing, like you're having to not necessarily reinvent any wheels, but if you're having to do something that's very creative, whether it be graphic visualization, whether it be using 3D graphics libraries, whether it be doing some sort of game dev or some gamification thing, I find that really helps for me because I'm quite a creative person, I'm quite a visual thinker, and it's very personal, subjective, and it'll be different for different people. But I find those sort of tasks very inspiring and motivate me more in some respects. Like, I don't mind doing just the general day-to-day user interface design and everything else, but anything that's got a sort of special sheen to it, special tasks, like whether it be sort of interesting visualizations of data, or especially like game-like elements. I mean, I actually work for a games company, so I get asked to do some pretty interesting things. Like, I can't go into details of specifics of my work, obviously, but recently I've created a sort of 3D representation of some data, like a sort of visual map. Obviously I can't show you anything, but I've done that recently as a sort of experiment. Not a finished thing, just an experiment. Also, we had to do some very interesting work around integrating a feature which would feature in a game and interact with sound from the cloud, from the internet. So that was an interesting challenge. And then also, I think another way to find a lot of meaning or to keep yourself motivated is to just do your own side projects, like have interesting, it's sort of obvious, but have your own interests and develop your own like little fun projects, and you'll learn along the way. Like I think I've developed my knowledge of JavaScript quite a lot by actually just doing these little weird projects that I've done over the last 2 years. Also, teaching can be a very useful thing to do too, because by teaching some of this, I know this is a lot of obvious shit, but by teaching you actually condense something that you might not have understood that way yourself before into an understandable form. And the actual process of doing that is very useful. Anyway, that's been 10 minutes, so I think I'll leave it at that. Watch my channel if you want to see anything more on coding related vlogs, but also tutorials and project overviews, code overviews as I call them on the channel. But I've been a one nerd in the dark. Nerd in the dark. So like and subscribe if you like it. I'm not going to beg you to, but if you like it, then do it. And yeah, that's it really.